So we're here with another episode of the RR Injury Podcast with our most favorite guest, of course, the man himself, Mr. Ritchie. And today we actually have what we feel like is a really important topic and something that we've been trying to get into more, which is MVAs, but specifically MVAs with serious bodily injury. I think those can end up becoming complicated cases with a lot of questions and a lot of difficulties, especially for the client. So I thought it was very important for us to kind of touch on that today and get a
It's
firsthand
good.
experience from an attorney such as Mr. Ritchie to kind of help us understand how those cases transpire and how they take them from either settlement to litigation. So thank you, Mr. Ritchie, for joining us again.
No, thank you. Yeah, always fun to be here. So
Awesome. So kind of what I wanted to get started, my first question is, how often do you see MVA bodily injury cases coming into your firm? Are you pretty well experienced with that?
honestly, you know, that's all that our firm does really. We have a little bit of immigration, but mostly our firm does personal injury. And of that personal injury, 95% of them are MVA. What that stands for, motor vehicle accidents. So car accidents, bus accidents, people hurt by hit by a car as a pedestrian. So yeah, no, that's what we do. I've seen thousands of these things myself, but with all the attorneys in our office, no, that's 100% of what we do.
And just getting into some of the legal terminology for some people who might get kind of paperwork or start working with an attorney and they start hearing different terms, could you kind of explain the difference from from a case where it's something like a car accident with soft tissue versus something that, or an MVA with soft tissue versus something like an MVA with seriously bodily injury?
Yeah,
What
for
kind of
sure. Yeah.
differentiates that?
Yeah. So, and I mean, so most personal injury attorneys will, take any kind of car accident, but there's a big difference between just a minor fender bender where, yeah, your neck hurts, and that's usually muscle um, or, back hurts for a little while, but within 2 or 3 months, a little bit of treatment, you get feeling better. Serious accidents, where there's broken bones or there's long-term scarring, PTSD, that's a real thing that happens in car accidents where you see something super traumatic, um, and some of these catastrophic car accidents. Maybe somebody next to you got killed, and I mean that affects somebody for life, right? We've done a lot of these cases where somebody gets hurt so bad that now that their arm doesn't work for the rest of their life, they can't do the same job they once did. And so there's a lot of different things with these serious car accidents that really differentiates them from just a minor fender bender. And both serious, both should definitely get an attorney, both should definitely handle. But yeah, the ones that have long lasting whole life disabilities and or things that are going to affect you forever, those are definitely more complicated. Those definitely take a lot more experts and a lot more, anyways, a lot of different things. But yeah, we do a lot of those.
And I like kind of what you touched on with PTSD with the internal, and I kind of wanted to take it a step further and kind of see what you thought about. Obviously, when you think of hard or serious bodily injury, one might think broken bones, kind of like what you're saying, vertebrae in your spine, scarring, like you were saying, and the importance that it is to work with an expert that can identify those things. I think another thing that some people might not think about is the internal injuries, internal bleeding, organ
Yeah.
damage, and that's something that obviously you kind of don't see. You might not even notice within that first day, but as you start to get maybe an MRI from one of your doctors or you see a
Um,
specialist that you're set up with, you start to realize that internally there's a lot of, do you see kind of that situation happen where someone might think, oh, it was just a fender bender, but after something else, they realize, oh, your rib kind of went into
yeah.
your lung there, or your,
Yeah. Yeah. Or a lot of times, I mean, honestly, a lot of times the first day people aren't even hurting that bad because so much adrenaline, you know what I mean? And then the next day it's like, wow, I mean, my arm feels weird, my shoulder didn't quite work. Well, then, 3 weeks later, still feeling like that. Well, now, I mean, the shoulder just doesn't work. They need a shoulder, complete shoulder replacement, or need, anyways, a lot, often, um, things that, and candidly, I hate doctors. I don't like going to the doctors myself, right? I hate it. Sitting there forever. So I try to avoid it like the plague. And I think we have a lot of people get in car accidents. Same thing is like, yeah, my neck hurts, but I'm just gonna deal with it. Hopefully, take lots of Tylenol, I'll be fine. Well, yeah, after a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's still bugging you. Well, who are come to find out? Super pinched nerve and or way worse things. We had a client who had busted arm, and for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, just wanted to deal with it. Well, the problem is, his bones start healing again. They had to go re-break the bone to reset it. Yeah. So, anyways, definitely worth getting things checked out, by a doctor. We definitely have seen that. Or here's another tricky thing.
And
A lot of times these accidents make it so you're way more susceptible or way more vulnerable, to future injury. And so, you know what I mean? So that now we had a lady, she had to have a neck surgery, and the neck surgery was doing, recovering, but she's still very much, neck brace, all that. Well, a week later, she's driving to her follow-up appointment, gets smashed by another car. She wasn't driving, someone was driving her. So now this second accident caused her first accident. They had to redo the whole surgery. Um, and the second accident was not even that big of an accident, but because she was so vulnerable, um, it just totally messed everything up. So yeah, these are big deals.
I think that's a perfect segue into our next kind of topic and kind of what ends up being one of the bigger issues with these MVA cases or motor vehicle accident cases with seriously bodily harm is the long-term effect. Kind of like what you were saying is, right, when you get that one injury, it's not just okay, I settled, it's good, I'm good now, right? It's a lifelong pain.
Yeah,
And when you get rear-ended, whether that case can become a seriously bodily harm case or not, you still have that pre-existing injury, and it might get pinched or it might get re-aggravated and things like that. And we could have been talking about an injury from a year ago, a bad truck accident case where you like you said, you separated your vertebrae. Obviously, in a year, it's not going to feel fine and dandy the way you did prior to that accident happening. How do you kind of work with the
yeah,
insurance companies, or how do you kind of litigate that, like knowing that there's going to be years, once the settlement check gets to the client, they could get an offender bender 2, 3 years from now,
yeah.
re-aggravate that injury and kind of flood that emotions from that original accident right back to them and kind of remind them about how terrible that initial accident that
Yeah,
changed their life
honestly,
was.
yeah, it's always tricky because every case is so different, right? And every person is so different. And honestly, nobody has a crystal ball. And I'm not a doctor either, right? So I'm not a doctor, and our attorneys aren't doctors. We don't even want to be doctors. But so it's so important just to make sure that the client understands all options and understands, hey, you're still hurting. You probably do want to see the doctor more. You want to, let's get you to an expert. Um, but yeah, it's great. You have to have the right medical team. You have to have the right understanding of what's happening in your case. And so it's really important. And then you got to realize too, all this stuff costs money, right? Doctor bills, surgeons, specialists. So you really need to have an attorney who can kind of help you understand, here's kind of what the policy limits are. Here's, how to get the bills to pay the cost the least amount of money. Here's how we're going to maximize this. Um, but some of these things, like honestly, if it's going to be an ongoing condition, um, we don't know if it's going to be a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. So all we can really do is get you the right doctors. But at some point, we just try to get you the absolute most amount of money we can. You know what I mean? And that's usually policy limits. And so, we get the right experts, the right, projections of wage loss, right projections of, you know, if you have to change jobs, all that kind of stuff, because we just want to maximize to the best we can. Like I said, your attorney's not going to help you. We're not the doctors, but we certainly have can kind of help coach you in that. But ultimately, our goal is to get you the most, pay the least of bills, and really take away a lot of the headache of the insurance so that you can really focus on getting better. I mean, that's our job.
And I think could you explain to the viewers at home why it's important to not just find an attorney, but find the right attorney? I know that's something that's
Uh-huh.
very big with you,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
like making sure you do your due diligence, asking the right questions, and not just signing immediately. Could you explain how the right attorney can prevent you from, not getting that
Hmm.
policy limit and
Yeah, 100%. I mean, so it's attorneys. Most people are like, I don't want to get an attorney. Attorneys are scary, and I agree with you. Well, I don't even like most attorneys. Most attorneys are, they want to bill you all this money per hour, and then they think they're really cool, whatever. But no, it's super important to get the right attorney, and
right.
and I say that because like almost every attorney out there wants personal injury cases, wants NVA motor vehicle accident cases because they think they make the most money. And you can make good money as an attorney, but you want to make sure you have an attorney who knows what they're doing. Like for me, I don't have a clue how to do divorce. I don't have a clue how to do bankruptcy. I mean, I can figure it out, right? But I don't do that. What I do is car accidents. So you don't want to make sure you get an attorney who knows how to deal with the insurance companies, especially big ones. These ones that have long term, long lasting. You got because you need a team. I can't. I'm not the doctor, so I need to know which doctors are good at that. I'm not a wage loss economist, so I need to know which economists are the best out there who can get me a report that can prove to the insurance that you're going to now have all this wage loss. I'm not um, an occupational specialist who can evaluate whether or not you can still do your job, but I know a bunch of them, right? I know who to get those to, and so the other thing is. Different attorneys have different approaches, and obviously, even within our team, we have different attorneys have different approaches. But you got to have an attorney who is going to work with you and who makes you feel comfortable. Like honestly, if I have clients that are super mad at me, and that happens, right? I mean, it happens. Um, some people just don't gel right. Um, I try to tell all my clients, like, look, if you don't like me, I probably don't like you. Like, there's probably attorneys who work with you better. Now that usually calms people down, but frankly, your attorney's on your team, right? Like, you guys are they don't get paid until you get paid. Meaning, I don't make money unless I make you money. So we need to be gelled together. So when you get pick out an attorney, you need to make sure that attorney is somebody that works with you, talks with you, that you trust, feel confident with. Um, so yeah, there's a lot goes into it, but and there's a lot of really good attorneys. So, but just make sure you find one that is experienced, knows what they're doing, but also is gonna work well with you.
I like one of the things that you kind of said about an economist. One, I think it's important that viewers know that an attorney is not a one-stop shop. And what you're going to do is connect their case with the right people who can kind of identify how to push their case to that policy limit. And going back to the economist where you talked about work, I know obviously when you want to think about it as just apples to apples, right? If I got injured in an MVA with serious bodily harm and my wage is $60,000 a year, I might think, well, Mr. Ritchie, you can just go ahead and tell the insurance companies I make
Yeah,
60,000 a year and I'm not going to be able to work this year, and I'll get my money. A lot of people might see it as like one to one and easy like that. Can you kind of explain the importance of taking the time, generating that kind of detailed report or analysis, and taking that to the insurance rather than just saying,
for sure.
"Hey, my guy's
Yeah,
only going to be not going to be able to work this year. He makes 60,000 a year. We're going to need 60,000 for his." Can
yeah. Yeah, no, honest, like, so the insurance companies, what's their job, right? Their job is to pay the least amount of money they can. They are for profit. They're a business. They can't just pay money, without proof and without, otherwise they go out of business. I mean, that's the truth.
right,
Like, it's our job, my job, and my clients' jobs. We have to prove to them what they're out and what you're really missing, and it's hard, like honestly it is really really difficult. And this is worst case scenario. You don't ever want to go to the insurance company and say I can't work anymore, because that means you physically can't work anymore. That's terrible, right? But in
right.
the really bad situations where our clients literally cannot work anymore, literally cannot do jobs anymore, um yeah, there's so much has to go into it. It's not me telling the insurance. I have to have doctors, you know tell the I have to be able to have a medical professional who can provide that. Then almost always involve some sort of occupational specialist who can also evaluate whether or not they can to perform a different type of job. Well, maybe they can't do a $60,000 job, but they can still do a $40,000 job. So that means, well, yeah, it's only 20,000. But anyways, then we put that together, and around how many years and inflation, all kinds of different stuff. That's the economists. They do that. Now, all that stuff costs money, from the attorney stance. Like that's not free. That's all more money that we're paying out. And so you also want an attorney who can kind of evaluate and say, look, we can maybe prove this, but it's going to cost us 40, $50,000. So if it costs us 40, 50,000 and they only offer 60, now we're actually, you know what I mean? So you got to really evaluate costs and time. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of tools out there, but it's your duty, your attorney's duty to prove that. So insurance doesn't just pay things. You have to prove it and then you have to fight like crazy most times. So
Right. And kind of going back to the insurance topic, knowing that you're gonna have to fight them pretty hard, especially for these MBAs with bodily injury, right? They don't want to, they'll, like you said, they want to give you the least policy limit possible. What is kind of some of the risks and rewards in one, obviously in one settling, settling whether it's too early or settling with insurance in general, and saying, you know what, I'm not going to take a settlement and taking it straight to trial. Can you give some of the
yeah.
pros and cons to both of those scenarios?
Yeah, for sure. Like, so obviously, a lot of cases in personal injury resolve before trial. I mean, honestly, trial is, I mean, candidly, not very many of these go to trial, because trial is, for instance, Washington State right now, you set a trial date today, it's 3 years from now before your date is even set.
Right.
Meaning, best case scenario, you're not going to do this thing for 3 years. And then most of the time, you have a trial and then it gets pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, meaning it's going to be even longer. That doesn't mean we don't litigate, right? There's lots of tools we do in litigation. Put a lawsuit, do arbitrations, mediations. A lot of times they still settle before it. But the truth is, there are a lot of reasons why you don't want to litigate. For instance, if we can get a case resolved, even these big ones, these big, huge cases resolved, with serious injuries, life-altering things, if we get it resolved pre-litigation for the value that's pretty darn good, almost always that's a better option than litigating because it saves time. Once again, you can save 3, 4 years of your life. Two, it saves a ton of costs. Like litigation costs money. Like, so we tell our clients, look, right now, here's this offer on the table. We litigate, we're gonna have to add another 30, 50, $70,000 in litigation costs. So that means whatever offer we get, it has to be $70,000 more, or we're even. You know, um, but with that being said, the reason we litigate is because we can't get offers good enough. You know what I mean? If insurance companies are unwilling to make fair and offers that our clients deserve, our only option is to litigate, file lawsuits. And a lot of times that jumps from an adjuster with kind of low authority almost always to either an attorney or a very high level adjuster with more authority. And so anyways, there's a lot of options there. Candidly, every case is so different, but you just got to weigh it. It doesn't make sense to file a lawsuit in every case. It really doesn't. It also doesn't make sense to accept offers on every case. You have to have a law firm who does a lot of experience litigating. And for instance, like our law firm, we do a lot of litigation. Um, and so the insurance companies now know we do a lot of litigation, and that's actually helped us a lot over the years because I negotiate with the insurance company pre-litigation and say that's fine. Here's you know if you can't get to this number, I'm just going to forward this, and I CC my litigation attorney. They know I'm not just messing around. Like we've sued them 20 times this year, and so, anyways, it's good to lots of options.
I like how you kind of provided the scenario for you as an attorney when you think it's right to kind of bend the insurance arms back. I think kind of the counterpart to that, and I would love to get your opinion on how you kind of manage the client's relationship, seeing as these MVA injuries are very, very serious. And a lot of times these clients can be really worked up and really
Oh
emotional,
yeah.
and they might get a settlement offer and say like, well, that's, a load of baloney and I deserve more and I deserve this. How do you kind of work your expertise knowing when to push and when to kind of how do you relay that back to the client to let them know, hey, you know what? This is the best offer that you might get. I
Yeah.
understand how serious your injury was, and you might have thought you wanted more. But if we take this to litigation, there's a chance that more can come out where you actually get less. Or how do you
Yeah,
kind of manage
100%.
that relationship?
So I,
Okay.
I mean, here's the biggest thing with any attorney, and I tell this to my clients all the time. Like, this is not my case. This is your case. You're the client. You were hurt.
Right.
So, so bottom line, my job as your attorney is to guide you, coach you, give you my best advice. Now, there's a lot of times that the client, I mean, everybody wants more money, right? So I'll sit down and be very candid. I'm like, I'm going to be 100% candid with you, honest, explain every step. Like, here's my opinion on the offer. Do I think it's low, high, fair? Maybe. Do I think we do better in litigation? Maybe. but I explain every step of the way, right? But ultimately, if we have a client who says, "Look, I want to litigate. I don't care," I say, "That's fine. We'll push this, but just know this is your case, and this is, we're gonna do our best. We just need to know all the risks, all the rewards, and sometimes we do better, sometimes we do worse." Um, but with that being said, too, we have also, at least me, I've always found that if I have a client whose expectations are just crazy wild, like I'll sit down with the client and just tell them, "Look, I'm super invested in this case too. Like I'm tens of thousands of dollars invested in this case. You haven't paid any money, but I have. Um, but I'll tell them straight up, like litigation is going to cost X amount more, and I don't know if I'm not confident in this. And so like if you don't think I'm the, if you don't trust my opinion, like there's other, you know what I mean. So anyway, we're candid with our clients. Like if they're just out of this world crazy, I'll tell them that. Like I just want to be like, look, my job is to be honest with you. And like, you don't want to hear this, but I'm going to tell it so you don't learn it 2 years from now and lose even more money. If you still want to go to that, let's go that. But if you don't want to, like, listen now, it might save you 2 years of just you being even more pissed off later, you know? So yeah, we really try to be super candid, super honest. But if it's our client's case, if they want to go, go. We have clients all the time. We say, look, this offer's terrible. We really think we could do better litigation. Like if you take this offer now, you're going to get X amount of money. I mean, you could take that, but if you let us go a little bit further, we can get more. And clients like, I don't want to litigate. I don't want to do that. Look, it's their case. If they want to just resolve, then, we explain the options, we explain everything. But end of the day, it's theirs. And so, anyways, it goes both ways. But ultimately, you know, it's your case, not your attorney's case. And so that's kind of how we handle that most of the time.
Right. Awesome. I love that. And just to kind of close this out, I kind of
Yeah.
wanted to know, what do you feel like people should know about not just a motor vehicle accident, but one that does have to do with a type of injury that you're going to start dealing with insurance companies? I know if it's a fender bender, most people deal with it themselves, and dealing with insurance companies is a tedious process. Everyone knows that. You don't need to be an attorney to know that dealing with insurance is
Yeah.
very, very, very difficult. What's one thing that you want people to know, kind of, who are experiencing MVAs with seriously bodily injury, what to expect, not just from working with an attorney, but from the actual insurance companies that they're going up against?
Yeah. I mean, here's the truth. If insurance companies were easy to work with, I wouldn't have a job. Like, frankly, like, there's no reason for me for personal injury attorneys. The only reason people have us or I have a job is because insurance companies typically don't want to resolve these cases for what their value is. Um, so go into that knowing that like insurance companies, there's a good place for insurance companies. I pay a lot of money a month in insurance, but really their job is to settle your claim for as little money as they can. Their job is not to be your advocate. They have their own attorneys. They have their own shareholders. They have their own, their job. They're a for-profit company. Now, if you really want to make sure, you're injured, it's not your fault, you just make sure you know what you're doing. If you're going to handle on your own, you can. That's fine. People do. A lot of people start and then realize, wow, this is harder. I don't want to deal with this. I don't know what I'm doing. But you can. Just make sure you do your research, talk to people, make sure you're doing it right. But if you're not going to, push this, if you're not going to, bottom line, car accidents can affect your life. So if you're not going to take the diligence to take care of yourself, get an attorney so they can help you at least. It's not your fault. Don't get taken advantage of. Like people's like, I don't want to get an attorney. I don't want to sue somebody. Most of the time, you're not suing anybody. Most of the time, you're getting compensated for the injuries that were caused you by somebody else's fault. But I guess coming from a guy whose dad was seriously injured in an accident, who got who my dad just, really tough spot. Insurance offered him money, so he took it. But yeah, it affected our whole life. Like, don't let that happen to you. Like, it really can, completely change your life if you don't do this right. And if you don't do it right, it really can affect your life in the wrong way. And so, you're already in a tough spot. You're already hurt. You're already injured. You already can't work. Like, get some help. Like, that's my job, is to be your advocate, be your friend, be the person who kind of takes away a lot of that headache. Um, so anyways, you don't do it alone. There's people to help. That's what personal injuries are for. But but if you're seriously injured, like at least talk to an attorney, at least get some advice, figure out what there is and isn't. But yeah, it really can affect your life. So
And actually, just because I kind of liked what you were talking about there, just to really close this out, what experience do you have, taking on cases that have been previously started, whether someone's coming from them trying to do it themselves and it's kind of starting to look a little
Yeah.
botched, or even another attorney who has kind of botched it and now they're kind of looking to
Uh,
you to clean it up.
so there's a ton of things you can really screw these things up. There's a thing called statute of limitations. So that means you only have so many years to settle a claim, or the claim goes away, or you have to file a lawsuit. So you got to do things quickly, somewhat quickly, or you can screw that up. Two, like if you don't do the health insurance right, or the PIP, personal injury protection, a lot of the different states have that, or med pay, they can pay the bills. Like if you don't get the bills done right at first, now you have all these medical bills that are paid. Yeah, anyways, attorneys don't know what, anyway, you can really screw these things up. And yeah, we clean a lot of them up, but here's the honest truth. It costs one third of my, it's like one third is my fee. Almost any personal injury attorney is 33%. That's what the fee is if I do it the last 2 weeks or if I do the whole thing. So you might as well get an attorney at the first. Let them take over in the first. Save all that headache that you had to deal with. Because frankly, anybody who does this all day in and out, they can do it so much faster and easier than you. And honestly, if you're my client, I don't want you doing the paperwork because most of the time you screw it up. There's a certain way we like it that makes it better. So, anyways, um, yeah, it's just so much. Get early. We can help coach. We can help get you the right doctors early on. Just a lot better recovery too, because anyways, this is what we do. So yeah, most people do way better, more happy, get better outcomes if they get an attorney early on.
Right. I hear you loud and clear. I really appreciate that,
Yeah.
Mr. Ritchie. I think outweighing your risk versus your reward is something that's very important to viewers at home right now who might be going through an MV or know someone who's been injured in a car accident or injured by a commercial truck or any kind of heavy vehicle and now looking to the next steps and kind of lost. I think
Yeah.
everything that you said is very important. One, doing the right research, understanding the process, and then finding someone who's honest. I know some of the hesitations people have with personal injury attorneys is the brand that they might give off that one, they're taking money that should go to you. Obviously, settlement, kind of like Mr. Ritchie was explaining, they have their percentage cut. But what Mr. Ritchie is trying to get at most importantly is that when a personal injury attorney, such as an experienced personal injury attorney, takes on this case, your chances for settlement is a lot higher and your chances for risk is a lot lower. Not to say that they're not there, but at the end of the day, it's about working the odds in your favor, and that's what Ritchie-Reiersen will do for you and for your case. It's very important to one, find the right attorney, but find one who's going to be honest with you and who's going to weigh the risks and rewards of your case with you, which is why it's very important when you are injured in an MVA accident, car accident, dog bite, slip and fall, make sure you reach out to the number 206-462-1883. Speak directly with Mr. Ritchie. Have a free consultation. Get the details of your case, understand where you stand, or figure out where you stand and how he can help. I think it's very important at the end of the day to get over that hump of not wanting to talk to an attorney or not wanting to seek help or trying to do things yourself, and get the honest truth about these cases because they are complicated, they are difficult. And one thing that Mr. Ritchie said, which I really liked, is they will change your life. Not can, not if, they will change your life. And you want to be in the best position to make sure that you're taking care of yourself because if you're not, no one else will for you. Which again, why it's very important to reach out to the number 206-462-1883. You can reach Mr. Ritchie directly through that line, speak about your case, and get more information about what's next for you. Mr. Ritchie, anything you want to leave off for the people?
No, I just main thing is like these are tough cases. You're going through a lot of hard things. So like one of the biggest benefits having an attorney is not just the money, but it's also like let us take away some of that stress. Let's take away some of that. You're dealing with so many things, your family, your job. Let us deal with the insurance. Let us deal with the paperwork. Let us deal. Anyways, that's we've almost found that's the bigger thing our clients appreciate than the money is just wow, that was so much stress and things I didn't know. Just phew, thank you. Like let you do this now. So yeah. Anyways, there's so many things that people can help you with. But if you've been in an accident, take it serious. Like at least call somebody. This at least consult. Don't let the insurance companies just take advantage of you. So that's my 2 cents on life.
Awesome, Mr. Ritchie. Thank you for your time and thank you for letting our viewers know how important NVAs, motor vehicle accidents, specifically with serious bodily harm, can be, and how you can help them, and how
Yeah.
any personal injury attorney can really help. For viewers at home, at the end of the day, what we want to do is give you the ammunition that you need to have that right consultation call, to ask the right questions, and to find that right guy. While we believe Ritchie-Reiersen is that guy, I do want to make sure that we provide you guys with the ammunition you need to talk to a couple attorneys and make that decision for yourself. So again, Mr. Reiersen or Mr. Ritchie, thank you again for your
Hey,
time and I appreciate it.
thank you, Alan. Appreciate it, guys.